Hi there guys, welcome along. It's Dave here from MyGee Trading. I thought I'd just do a quick follow-up tutorial on the alerts within TradingView. So this is basically the chart that I showed you previous, and we have heads up, loaded up here. Now you can see I've already set an alert there, so usually, not always, but usually it will sit here with an alert saying, with a little green clock on your heads up indicator, and it will tell you that you've got an alert set. It might disappear after a while, but when you first set your alert and refresh the indicator, it should sort of show you the alert thing there. So we can obviously see that it says alert fired. Okay. Now, if you want to set an alert up, you basically just come into the indicator. You right click on any of the lines when the little hand shows like that. You just right click and it'll pop up with the alerts panel for TradingView, and you just select that, so it'll bring it up. So it's already set to heads up, so that's your operator there, okay? And yeah, basically you'd want to then come down here and select one of the options. Heads up armed live, it means your red badge there is going to turn to amber and then obviously green, and it will say armed, and then your alert will fire and tell you that that's happened. Your confirm 4-hour ratio crossed below the EMA 50 live, okay? So that just means that your ratio line for the 4-hour has basically crossed below, okay? And then the 4-hour ratio crossed above live for the EMA 50, okay? So that's basically if you want your alerts to be set on the 4-hour time frame for more solid, confirmation. The Donchain high break live, it just means you can set something to break your Donchain high level, your most recent Donchain high level, okay? Your fast ratio crossed EMA 50 in either direction. If you want a nice fast live, signal alert, this is probably a good option for you, as it will happen live and it will happen in any direction. So if you have a little fake out above the EMA 50 and then it comes back down, you'll have alerts showing you in either direction. Okay, and you've got the confirm 4-hour ratio crossed below the EMA 50. Okay, so these are the recent ones obviously that have been used. So we'll set it to this. This is a nice live one. Now, essentially you can set it to happen on the same chart, the time frame that you're on, which is the 4-hour for me right now, or you can set it to a lower time frame, like the 1 hour or the 30-minute, for example. Now, just to explain a little bit about it, if you set it to the 1 hour or the 30-minute, it'll basically fire that alert when your ratio line crosses the EMA 50 on that time frame. Okay, that might happen before it does it on your 4-hour chart. Okay, so it'll give you an earlier signal, than it will on your 4-hour chart. But that might be to your advantage, because it might give you an early heads up that, okay, if it's happened on the 1-hour chart, then it might be, not too long away from happening on the 4-hour chart. Okay, so that's quite a good way to get an early heads up. Okay, so you can set it to the 1 hour. Now, this is quite an important part. If you want it to trigger only once, then set it to that. It may still do it per candle or per bar. Once per bar is basically per candle, so it'll wait for whatever time frame you've selected for that candle to close, and if that candle closes above the EMA 50, it'll then trigger the alert, okay? Once per bar close essentially is going to happen in the same way if it closes above the EMA 50, okay? And essentially it should do it once per bar, meaning if it's crossed above your EMA 50, it should do it within that bar. Even if it goes back down, it should trigger the alert. But sometimes I find it really just does it when the bar and the candle close. So the best option for a live alert using the heads up indicator on TradingView is to choose once per minute. What that means is whatever time frame you select, once your ratio line goes across your EMA 50 line, it will trigger that alert whether it goes above it or below it if you set it to the either direction option on there. Okay, and that will basically fire your alert basically within 1 minute, and then it will do it continuously every minute, and you can switch the alert off then if you want to. So it's the most live form of alert that's available on the heads up indicator right now. I'm going to do some updates in the future where I'm going to try and add a few different alerts in there, but I think right now it's set up with enough alerts essentially. We've already got quite a few in there. We've got heads up armed, which means that if your coin is armed, your VWAP, your price is above your VWAP session line, and your ratio is above your EMA 50, then essentially, you know, it's going to trigger and tell you that everything's armed, which is probably quite a good basic one for people to use to start with. At least you can then alert, you know, that coin is armed, and you can come in and have a look at the coin and then see what the situation is with possibly entering a trade. Okay, so that's the alerts, guys. I'm going to leave it there pretty much, you know, on this tutorial. And yeah, this is the heads up indicator. So you can see there, you've got your little alert thing, so you obviously know your alerts are set. The EMA 20 is the purple line here. It works similarly to a MACD, where it gives you a sort of crossover signal. So you can see the EMA 20 is crossed over the EMA 50, and that's obviously signaled that, you know, it's a very strong, you know, momentum, and we're going up into an upward trend there. Okay, you can also see when the live ratio line has come down, it's sat on the support of that EMA 20, so it's obviously quite a strong moving average, and it's sort of bounced off the EMA 20 there as well, and then it's used it as support there on the way up. It's also crossed right through it, so it hasn't found support like it did there, but the ratio line is crossed right through that EMA 20, which obviously was quite a strong signal, to the point that we're now obviously selling off, you know, quite well, and we're going to then breach the EMA 50 as well. We have had a relief bounce there, but essentially the purple line in the background there has crossed right below the EMA 50, just at the point where these two level lows have actually broken support and then come down into a downward trend. So you can obviously see that EMA 20 crossing over that EMA 50 is a very strong signal that, okay, that's us now, guys. We're definitely going down for a downward trend there. So you can see the way the indicator is set up. It's set up very well, you know, for quite a lot of good solid background signals, as well as the main, obviously, your live ratio line increasing against the EMA 50 and outperforming, you know, Bitcoin. Okay, guys, I'll leave it there. I've done more tutorial videos that you'll find on the channel if you want to catch up on any more elements of the indicator.